All right. He is known to many for smoking the best weed in the world while openly supporting some of the worst politicians in the country. But hey,
Some
it's
of the
all
bad
green at the end of the
most
day.
loving.
Up next, you know who it is Jason Beck.
Oh yeah. Good morning, Rico. And I don't know if you guys remember last week, but we covered this SQ 820, this vote out of Oklahoma. And I mentioned to you guys that if it didn't pass, that there was going to be some steeper regulations coming in. Today, my story has to do, it turns out my predictions are right because my story alludes to exactly that. Because officials say SQ 820 vote was a mandate for tougher regulation on medical marijuana in Oklahoma. That's right. In the lead up to the recreational marijuana vote, one of Mike Dabrowski's biggest worries was that it would pass by a narrow margin. But when Oklahoma voters overwhelmingly rejected State Question 820 on Tuesday, the state representatives breathed a sigh of relief. The morning after, he described a similar mood among his colleagues inside the Capitol. In their eyes, there was no equivocation. In a quote, they say, I certainly feel like it was a vote affirming the changes that we have made and expecting us to continue to limit what we have now, said Dabrowski, Republican from Kingfisher. And he also says, it definitely was a mandate against any expansion. The state question failed in every one of Oklahoma's 77 counties statewide. Over 61% of voters said no. And in a quote, many of us feared that the passage of SQ 820 would create a whole new obstacle for regulators and our law enforcement, who are already overextended with the challenges created by the medical industry and the illicit market, Dabrowski said. I like his last name, Dabrowski. For the most part, lawmakers wanted to wait until the March 7th vote to make any significant changes to Oklahoma's marijuana laws. However, several bills have quietly made their way through the legislative process and are still able to become law. Some of those bills would put limits on THC potency, require a qualifying medical condition for medical marijuana patients under 18, and allow cities to adopt zoning restrictions on cannabis businesses, close loopholes to prevent illegal land ownership, and require doctors who recommend medical marijuana to complete specific training. Oklahoma is a better place for this state question failing, said State Senator Jessica Garvin, Republican from Duncan. I think the overwhelming results are also a clear sign that Oklahomans are not happy with the current medical marijuana program and want it to be reformed. That is why this session I have introduced a number of bills that will close loopholes in illegality activity, further protect children, and make the program a true medical marijuana program, not recreational marijuana light, which it is now, she says. Even Governor Kevin Stitt echoed the same sentiment in a press conference on Friday. The governor said Oklahomans are experiencing fatigue with the medical marijuana industry. The quote, I don't think anybody expected it to be defeated that bad, but as I was traveling the state, I knew Oklahomans didn't want it, Stitt said. They were so tired of a dispensary on every single corner. So clearly, we don't want a recreational, and I think there's an appetite to tighten up the medical side as well. The governor said Oklahomans have a big heart and that if marijuana helps medically patients, then they should be able to participate in the program. But we don't believe that anybody with a hangnail should be able to get a medical marijuana card, Stitt said. A prominent advocate of the medical marijuana industry, however, says that the state officials are misreading voters' intentions. In a quote, it's the program that we have that people are happy with. They don't want to change it, said Jed Green, director of Oklahomans for Responsible Cannabis Action. In a quote, if the governor and legislature goes in and makes the mistake with this misread and they push for limiting conditions or restricting telemedicine and taking access away, the knee-jerk reaction is going to be another adult use bill, they says. Green criticized the regulation and the tax structure in SQ 820, saying that with a better proposal, there are enough votes in Oklahoma to adopt a recreational marijuana bill. And the best thing they can do is just to let this thing settle down, let enforcement agencies catch up, and let this thing stabilize, he said. If they go in and if they look to limit individual access, that will be the trigger that will pass adult use in the state, because then everyone has something to lose. Other legislation that could advance in the next few weeks would permanently prohibit a business from acquiring a medical marijuana license if they intentionally don't pay the state. House Bill 2095 also includes a provision that would ban cannabis growers from knowingly hiring undocumented immigrants and limit the number of state licensed grow operations to 1,000 at any one time. As of February 8th, more than 7,000 grower licenses had been approved by the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, although it's unclear whether the state has that many active farms. When it became clear that SQ 820 would fail late Tuesday, the campaign's leadership told supporters at a rally it was now up to the governor and lawmakers to preserve and strengthen the medical marijuana program. Campaign director Michelle Tilley also called on state officials to continue the state's criminal justice reform efforts to make sure people aren't sent to jail for minor infractions of the marijuana law. Currently, someone found in possession of a small amount of marijuana without a medical license can still face up to a year in jail and a $1,000 fine, or a similar fine without jail time if they can simply state a medical reason for having it. If the state question had passed, individuals already in the justice system for marijuana possession could have requested to have their sentences expunged. And in a quote, "It is in your hands, and we challenge you to do it. And we are here in good faith to work with you to make those changes happen," Tilley said. Well, I'll tell you what, it's just going to go down in Oklahoma, and I'm going to sit here with my popcorn and watch it all develop. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think about this?